Great. Thank you, Tyler.
You bet.
All right. I am calling to order the January 9th, 2024 License and Ordinance Committee meeting. I guess we have never taken roll. I don't think we need to with just the three of us and just the two of us here tonight. But I do note that Alder Cole is online and Alder Jackson is not currently. All right. Before we continue, I'm just going to suggest that we move the miscellaneous items on the end of the agenda before the discussion of the ordinances, just so Laura can be part of the discussion regarding the July 14th parades, and then she can hop off once we're done with that. So we'll move miscellaneous above ordinances, and then we'll actually move item 2 of miscellaneous above item 1. So once we're done discussing licenses and permits, we'll move straight into the discussion of the 4th of July parades. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes, thank you.
Yep, I'm seeing nods. Great. Okay. I don't see any citizens who have joined the call. Tyler, do you have anyone in the waiting room, or is there anyone? No.
Anyone waiting, and nobody reached out to me.
Great, thank you. All right, well, we will close the comments section and we will move on to approval of the minutes. There are 2 minutes to approve. First, we will discuss the minutes from the October 24th, 2023 special meeting of the L&O committee. Any changes?
No.
No? Okay,
Nope.
Hearing none, the minutes are accepted as submitted. Second, we have the approval of the minutes from the November 14th, 2023 meeting. Any changes to those minutes?
Yes, there is a correction to be made. Under the ordinances section, item 2, it notes that I moved and seconded the matter of the pay or the compensation for council members. I recall that I moved for approval, and I believe Chair Woka seconded so that we could take a vote.
Yes. I did second.
Get that corrected.
Thank you.
Great. And with that correction, we will accept the rest of the minutes. Thank you, Alder Cole.
Sure.
All right, moving on to licenses and permits. First, we will take the application for a Class B beer and Class B liquor license by La Casa del Morisco, 2518 Allen Boulevard in Middleton. Usually on the agenda, we have the name of the person who's applying. I guess that's why it gave me pause for a second as I was reading it.
That did not make it. I did reach out to that person to try to clarify some things and notify them in the meeting, and they did not respond at all. But the individual I have is Norberto Rojas. So just a little bit of background on this. City Hall received a tip probably about a month ago that Camino Real was serving without a licensed bartender. We went there to check. They indeed did not have a licensed bartender on premise, but it seemed like more of an education issue. We educated them within the hour. The actual licensee arrived to the police department, just kind of clarify things and ask for next steps. And it seems like they're going through a bit of a reorganization now. About the next week, we got this application for a new license altogether. They closed down in the meantime. So I think there's just some sort of dispute and reshuffling at the business.
But to Alder Wokas's point, don't we normally have like an individual who's listed, or is it okay that it is just the business name?
Well, the license is issued to the business. I think typically on the agenda,
I see.
Who's going for we may reference who the agent is, but that's not. I think it's just a matter of form or preference, but.
Yeah, I think it was just, that's why I kind of stumbled over reading it, is because usually it has the name of the agent who applied, but That's the only reason. I think there still is an individual notified on the license application, so it's no concern, but
Yeah, it's this Norberto Rojas that's identified as the agent in the application.
yeah.
And so they're applying as an original license because Tyler, it sounds like the complete shift of business ownership and designation.
Yeah, my understanding is a different business name, LLC, so just a whole different thing, same spot, same everything else, just kind of changing the name and reshuffling. And no concerns from the permit on our end. As far as the background check, identified no issues other than what we were aware of when we contacted them and discovered they didn't have that licensee on premise.
That's good.
All right. And that's the one in which strip mall, the one with the Subway or the one with the nail salon?
The one with the Subway.
Okay. All right, great. All right. Any comments or questions about the application? No? Okay, then I will go ahead and move approval of the application for a Class B beer and Class B liquor license for La Casa del Morisco of 2518 Allen Boulevard.
And this is Cole. I will second that.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, license approved. We're going to take items 2 and 3 together. The application for a special event permit by Glowing Smiles, Connie Dura Contact for the Glowing Smiles 5K Run Walk and Kids Dash on May 11th, 2024 at Orchid Heights Park, and an application for an outdoor amplified sound permit submitted by same for the same. The time on the outdoor amplified sound will be 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yep, so this is an annual one, just a fundraiser at Orchid Heights Park. They do a 5K through the Pheasant Branch Conservancy, and they are aware that they do have to get permission, and they have a separate certificate of insurance for the part of the run that does go into Dane County. And as far as the amplified sound, they've always been very cognizant of making sure that the speakers are faced away from the resident homes because it is somewhat early for a Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and there's been no complaints about this event in the past, correct? No complaints and no concerns?
Not
Nope.
that I'm aware of, no.
And we don't have any issues and no involvement on our end either.
Great. All right. I will move approval then for application for the special event permit and the outdoor amplified sound permit for the Glowing Smiles event at Orchid Heights Park on May 11th, 2024, with the amplified sound from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m.
This is Cole. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, there we go. It's going on to number 4. I am going to keep the Bachfest permit separate just because one is for the expanded premises. So we will take number 4, the application for a special event permit from Capital Brewery for Bachfest on February 24th, 2024 at Capital Brewery.
Again, just an annual event. Event plans are very similar to previous years. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more there. It has been reviewed by the team at the city and no concerns.
All right, any public safety concerns?
Nope, plan as far as I can tell seems identical to what we've done in years past. Their last several years we have not had issues there. So we tend to have 3 officers staffed as we have in previous years. They have private security, but no, we have no concerns with it.
Great. All right, I will move approval then for application for a special event permit for the 2024 Bachfest on February 24th, 2024 at Capital Brewery.
This is Cole. I'll second that.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on. Application for expanded premises by a Class B retailer for Capital Brewery at 7734 Terrace Avenue for the February 24th, 2024 Bachfest using approved plan CB6.
again, yeah, no changes from previous years. They're using the same security plan. Yeah.
All right. I guess I didn't remember this from previous years, which is why I wanted to keep it separate. So they're just expanding onto Terrace Avenue into the parking lot and into the street, or is it just the parking lot?
It's just their parking lot.
Okay.
The street does not close.
Okay.
And the way I read the map, it was just for their entry lines. Is that correct? It's not moving any like beverage consumption outside of their premises, right?
No, it's like fencing
Yeah,
that they
okay.
put into their, to kind of just because there is so many people and it kind of helps with just crowd control.
That's
My
what it looked
recollection
like
is
from
they
the
usually
map.
have that temporary fence going up near the sidewalk, just kind of creates that buffer zone where usually there's security and police, security or IDing people as they come in.
Great.
That makes sense.
All right. No concerns from public safety? All
No.
in line from the city. Perfect. I will move approval then for the application for expanded premises by a Class B retailer, Capital Brewery, for the February 24th, 2024 Bachfest.
Mrs. Cole, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. This is the application for renewal of the annual outdoor amplified sound permit by Kevin Bagstead for Capital Brewery, a commercial enterprise at 7734 Terrace Avenue for the sound system, speeches, band, DJ, and karaoke for various dates and times from January 1st, 2024 till December 31st, 2024.
And this is their annual, and I will say the applications, you probably noticed that they were the old school ones, but Kevin already submitted them and I didn't want to make him go through the online thing, but he knows now that they have gone, he just did them before I even let him know that they went digital. But yeah, so they do this every year. The times are the exact same as they were in 2023. And he just breaks it out in between these days because that seems to work the best. So they don't have to have just one for every single day of the work week.
Yep. And the city's still okay with that approach? That works for you guys?
Yep, that's fine. By us, our complaints there, I know years ago there were issues, but we haven't been getting nearly the volume or really any that I'm aware of.
Great. All right, noticing that there's no concerns regarding the application, I will move approval for the renewal of the annual outdoor amplified sound permit from Capital Brewery for sound system, speeches, band, DJs, and karaoke for the dates and times from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024.
This is Cole, I'll second that.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, perfect. We're going to combine 7 and 8 again because they are the same. This is an application for a special event permit by Try for Schools, Katie Brazel, contact person for the Middleton Kids Triathlon on August 17th, 2024 at Middleton High School Stadium and the Waterbound Aquatic Center. And the application for an outdoor amplified sound permit for the same for 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on August 17th, 2024.
Again, another annual event. Plans are extremely similar to previous years with the exception of the use of Fireman's Park. They are planning to use more of the high school, and the run portion has moved from like the surrounding neighborhood to the track and field.
Oh.
So that's the only change with this event this year.
So is the street use the bike portion then? Is that?
It is. Yep.
Okay.
And yeah, that street closure remains the same.
Great. And no complaints about sound because it is an 8 a.m. Are they using the sound system at the stadium?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think they started with the swim at Walter Bauman, but I'm not aware of any concerns
Okay.
I don't
or
recall
any complaints.
Yeah, I don't recall us ever getting a complaint. I'm not sure how early they're turning it on and blasting anything necessarily, but.
Okay. All right. With no concerns, I will move approval for the application of, I will move approval for the permit. Take 3. I will move approval of the special event permit for Try for Schools, for the Middleton Kids Triathlon on August 17th. And for the permit for the outdoor amplified sound on the same date from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
This is cool. I will second that.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Number 9, application for a special event permit by Beat the Blues, Chris Spaethke, contact person for the Beat the Blues cruise on April 13th, 2024 at Kiva Sports Center.
And another annual, at Kiva, they do not close any streets for this. It's a small enough group that they stick to the sidewalks. So they follow the rules of the road there. And then they do know that for the trail usage, they will post signage in advance to alert trail users. But I'm not aware of any complaints. And yeah, the team has reviewed it and no issues.
Excellent. No public safety concerns?
Nope, somewhat smaller event, looks like 250 people, but there hasn't been any involvement from us in the past, and no concerns.
Great. All right, well then I will move approval for the permit for the special event Beat the Blues at Kiva Sports Center on April 13th, 2024.
This is cool. I will second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. And that is the end of the licenses and permit section. We will move on to miscellaneous. Again, moving number 2 forward, we are going to continue the discussion from the July 11th, 2023 LNO meeting regarding the requirements for neighborhoods to obtain a special event permit for 4th of July parades.
So, went back and looked at kind of where I am. I've been working on 2 different ideas, and I guess the last time this has really been on my plate was kind of early November. I've initially thought that maybe the best way to deal with this issue is simply deal with it under our expressive activities permit, and then that just gets permitted by the police department. It's certainly a much more truncated process, although there is the application and everything. I've got an email that Jeremy had sent me some time ago, and I want to take a closer look at the application and evaluate some of his comments. But then alternatively, I thought about just coming up with a list of criteria, that would allow these types of events based on, the roadway type, the number of average daily trips and a few other concerns. And I shared a list with Sean Stowski. He came back to me with some further comments, and that's kind of where it's left off. So really right now where it is, I've kind of got 2 different potential approaches to deal with it, and I just need to create some time to evaluate both ways and come up with a more concrete proposal, I guess. So that's kind of where we are on this, at least where I am on this.
Like I said, my laptop is dead, or else I would quickly look at our ordinances about expressive activities. Is that just a permitted, like a permit simply through public, it's like a license to gather kind of thing?
Kind of, yeah. It's something we created so that, where we have protests or things like that, First Amendment law, kind of requires a much faster process than what our special event permit process would allow for those types of events. And, I think these might be a little bit of a stretch, particularly, I think it works easy if you're talking about just 4th of July parades. Still a little bit of a stretch, but you're celebrating the 4th of July. Maybe you can call those expressive activities. If we have a lot of other types of events like Halloween parades or just neighborhood, the more we get away with that, maybe the less good of a fit the expressive activities route may be. And so maybe that's a question I posed to Laura, is how, how many of these kind of parades that we are, kid bike parades that we want to exclude. I mean, are these primarily 4th of July parades, or are we seeing them kind of branch out to other types of events?
No, I would say it's been 3 to 4 neighborhoods that do something on the 4th of July.
Okay.
And those do range in size. But the street closures are so minimal and it seems to happen so quickly, that that's why I'm not sure it warrants the special, like the trigger for the special event permit. And then there's one of those neighborhoods then consistently has a Halloween parade, which functions very similar to their 4th of July. But that's the only Halloween one, and no other holidays that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So the expressive permit or expressive activities permit, that there's no fee to that, correct?
As I don't believe so.
I'm looking at the application. I don't see anything that's saying like that.
Yeah, I
fee,
think that's
but-
why I kind of gravitated to that, because I mean, we do have the permit application is between the explanations and the checkbox. I mean, several pages, but I guess it's not that
Onerous.
maybe not.
Is there,
that-
is there specific language on it that says it has to be for some sort of political action?
No, the language is pretty broad. Like I said, I mean, I think I'm pretty comfortable if we were just going to use it for 4th of July, but
The Halloween.
if the Halloween one feels a little bit more outside the strike zone there, so.
And as I recall, I think that was just Jeremy's concern, is how broadly this be applied then, or are there other neighborhoods, other occasions that they might want to do this?
Right,
Yeah.
right, and somebody comes up with some new idea or some little celebration, they want to do it, then we are hemmed in a little bit, so I'm probably, if I can make the other option work without it being too overly convoluted, that's the direction I'm probably leaning, but I just have to take some time and digest Sean's comments and figure out where we want to put it.
So what would it take to make a neighborhood activity? Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how we could do this that would allow these to happen without having to pay the fee and having to go through the paperwork. So I'm wondering if we could create some other.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Something.
Some kind of exception is what I'm thinking of, and it was
As an exception.
based
Okay.
on a number of factors, like
Okay.
the biggest factor I think is the type of roadway, and defining that. I mean, Sean thought that something as high as 1,000 daily trips probably keeps this to most of our residential neighborhood roads, although you probably have to say that those number of trips, or the presumption is if we don't have that data, that it is a permissible road, because there are a lot of neighborhood roads we just don't collect that kind of data on. But then the time period, I think, is another big, so something that lasts less than an hour should be hour or less. So those are the main things, and then the only other stuff is what other sort of safety measures and things that we need to feel would be there. Does anybody from the city, any police, anything need to be present? Do we need to have any barricades? Those kinds of things set up, and
Yeah, I mean, because at the very
just
least,
the process.
we would want some way of with streamlining this and reducing maybe like the paperwork burden or the fee in some way, but some mechanism that we still are informed that this is happening, so that like if the police get a call from a neighbor or whomever, like, oh yeah, we know that this bike parade is happening, it's okay. Or if there's an incident with it.
Well,
and
I'm gonna imagine this would have to, you know, some department, and it's either gonna be the police department or Public Works. I don't know who else would, you know, I'm envisioning this as a staff approval sort of thing, or just a notification to fill out this little application X days before your event, and as long as you meet this criteria, all you need is just the blessing from somebody, and
Yeah.
and away you go.
And is that a change then to the ordinance or just some language on the permit?
No, I think it's a change to the ordinance. I think
Okay.
we might have to craft it as an exception, so it'll be a little more
Yeah.
involved type of exception, but
Okay.
um,
So is that something, do you think that we could, Laura, when do you start getting these applications? I know it kind of varies every year depending on how on top of things some neighborhoods.
Yeah, I would say typically they come on the May LNO agenda, so I might start seeing them as soon as April, but I doubt I would have anybody's
Right.
application by April.
Right. And that's kind of my recollection of it too. I think the earliest we saw was in April and we were like, oh, that's,
Yeah.
they were on top of it. So, do you think that's something that we can get on the agenda then for April, some of those exceptions written out, Matt?
I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna, you know, shoot for trying to have something within the next month that I can circulate to Tyler and Sean and get kind of, and Laura, and get staff on board with something. You know, ideally, you know, maybe we can have something yet even for the March agenda,
Okay. Great.
just to give us a little cushion. And if we fall a little short, then we'll be guaranteed to do the April.
Great. Well, and I guess, is that something then, if anybody does apply before we've put that in motion, is that, can we tell them to wait? They're not,
Oh,
submit-
yeah, I would suggest if anyone's reaching out to you, I'd say, listen, hold on a second. This may be something that we're looking for to do some exceptions here, so let's just hold,
wait. Yeah, sounds good.
Yep.
wait and see.
Excellent. Cool. All right, any other discussion then on the July 4th parade permits? Anyone? Nope. All right, good. All right. All right, then we'll move on. Thank you, Laura.
Thank
If
you
you wanna hop
guys.
on-
Have a good night.
Yep, you too. Stay warm. All right, moving on then, we're going to take the other miscellaneous item, the discussion on the consolidation of the personnel and finance committees. Just of note, this is on, a consolidation of committees is on the committee of the whole meeting agenda for this Friday.
Yeah, maybe hopefully we'll get some more direction. I mean, we've talked about this before, and I mean, to me, it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another. There's no real.
Yeah, when I saw this on the agenda for tonight, I just assumed that we would push it off again until we have some more feedback from the whole council from Friday. From the committee of the
Yeah.
whole meeting.
I felt like it was redundant to have on this
Yeah.
meeting if we're gonna talk about them on Friday, so.
Yeah, agreed. So is everybody okay with pushing this off until let's at least move it on to the next agendas, because we will have feedback to share from council after this week, hopefully, knock on wood, that we get to it. The committee of the whole agenda is long. There is a possibility that this does not get discussed.
Yeah.
Which in that case, we will have another committee of the whole, because this needs to get discussed, and so it will come up at the next committee of the whole. So if it's not at the next LNO meeting, then we'll push it off again, but. Does that sound
for me,
good?
I think, you know, yeah, I mean, obviously, this, in terms of importance, is probably way down the list of the things you're gonna be addressing in committee of the whole, but if it does get addressed, you know, I think really the biggest thing we want to address is what is the new committee gonna look like? And, you know, my gut tells me just eliminate the personnel committee, call the finance committee, finance and personnel, and otherwise leave the membership and appointment the same, because It just seems to be the easiest and most sensible way to do it. Otherwise, you know, I don't see a big downside just leaving things as they are either.
Yeah.
So my question with that, like, right, so basically the current finance structure, assuming the duties of personnel and obviously appointments then to that committee changes after the, in the spring. My question is, and I know that this is currently how finance is structured with the 4 members, what happens with a tie vote? And I guess maybe that doesn't happen very often, but when you have an even number of membership, how do you?
Well, I mean, the only time that's really going to become a problem exercising personnel issues, I guess, is if you're holding some kind of hearing, quasi judicial type of thing. So that's, that's not a non-problem.
I didn't realize that was a function of the personnel committee, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I think there's the
it's a practical
potential.
matter. I don't know if we've ever had our personnel committee hold anything like that, but it's at least in theory a possibility. But you're right. I don't know that we've ever had it. And then, all our labor agreements have grievance procedures that are outside of that. So really, I think it would only be something that would happen with our non-union employees, where there might be some type of
Disciplinary.
hearing or procedures. Well, I should go back and look at my recollection on the concrete situations where that might arise is not real fresh, but
Well, that's good notes to take into the meeting as we discuss this, just to keep that in our mind if that is a potential, we should be aware of it. So thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
All right. Any other notes on that? Seeing none, hearing none, moving on to ordinances. Ordinance to amend plan commission composition relating to mayoral membership.
yeah, so this I prepared at the mayor's request. It kind of does, I think, what it seems to do on its face. By statute, the mayor is not required to be a member. But under our ordinance, I think the only fair reading is that the mayor is required. And so basically this just puts us in the same position as what the statutes allow. The mayor could appoint him or herself or somebody else in their place. And so that's what was requested, and that is what I believe this draft ordinance does.
So I do have some questions though, because I was trying to understand a little bit more. I think there might be a little bit of conflict in the way that the changes are drafted. And I'm wondering if it might be better to align the statutory language, because currently the way I'm reading it, which differs a little from the statutory language, so that if the more so it's about the so the mayor may appoint him or herself to the commission and shall also choose the presiding officer. I think I had the statute pulled up here. Where did it go? I think I wonder if that needs to be two separate, almost two separate sentences, in that they may appoint him or herself, and then that they also appoint the chair, whether or not that's themselves. Right now, it's just for me, a little confusing. And then also my other question is about then the vice chair. So unless selected to be the chair and presiding officer, the alderperson shall be the chair, their vice chair. But what happens then if they are the chair? Who is then the vice chair and who designates that vice chair?
Then I think it would default to the normal rules that we have elsewhere in the ordinances that say that the body itself chooses its officers. Yeah, this person member being the vice chair is another just kind of Middleton special on that one. So I just trying to, yeah, it's change only that which I was asked to change and not go beyond.
And then, so if the designee and, okay, so I get then my next question is about confirmation and if the mayor appoints themselves to the commission or they're appointing a designee and they're appointing the chair, which may or may not be that designee, which position is subject to confirmation by council? You know, if the mayor appoints themselves, are they subject to confirmation by council with this change, right? Because right now the ordinance is prescriptive that the mayor is going to be on plan commission and serve as chair.
Right.
So how would the appointee confirmation structure be with
Well,
this?
I think that if the mayor chooses not to sit, the way section 2 of what I drafted, 206(2)(c) would be that just the mayoral designee, the mayor appoints that person. And the intent was not to have the mayoral designee to be subject to council approval, just the rest of the citizen members.
So that's where though in the ordinances, it says unless otherwise noted, the mayoral appointees are subject to council confirmation. So I'm wondering if we would need language that makes clear that the mayoral designee would not be subject to council.
Yeah, we could add something in there. I see your point. Let me see, I just want to double check. I cross-referenced. I think 203(5)(c), that's the residency requirement, isn't it?
Correct. I think 5D was
Okay.
where I was like, is this in conflict with it?
Right, let me just pop that open quick.
Oh, that was about officers. Sorry. That was my previous question is if we're in conflict with 5D. But the appointment one is 5A.
Right, so. So maybe we just add this appointment.
And I think we'd want to make clear that it's like regardless of whether the mayor appoints themselves or a designee.
Right, shall not be subject to council confirmation. Add that to there.
And you're putting that where then?
Just as a last sentence to the mayoral designee.
Okay. 203.
This appointment shall not be
206
subject to
QC.
common council confirmation.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I guess going back to my very first question, look, now that I've looked at the statutory language, I wonder if maybe aligning a little bit more closely might be helpful with the first under section 1 of the amendments. It says right, the commission, all members of the commission shall be appointed by the mayor who shall also choose the presiding officer. So it makes it a little bit more clear that that could be two different people. And the mayor may appoint him or herself to the commission. And then the rest of the membership here in statute, I think we make clear in our ordinances where it deviates a little bit. Or we're meeting at least the minimums, but we go the extra mile about the.
So how how are you suggesting that sub 1 be changed?
What, and if you could reference what statute you're referring to?
Oh, yeah,
just for the
sorry.
record. Yeah, no,
Um,
that's okay.
State statute 62.231A. It's about city planning and commission. So it's the
Thank you.
statute that our ordinance does reference. And so I just appreciate like that it makes it a little more clear that the mayor may, that the mayor appoints, so I guess, let's see, shall consist of 7 members as follows.
Yeah, all members shall be appointed by the mayor, who shall also choose the presiding officer.
And then maybe it's a new sentence, the mayor may appoint him or herself, or him or herself to the commission.
So how I have it
I
here
would
is-
appreciate to look at like other, like the language again before approving it. I'm also wondering, and Alder Wilkes, I don't know how you feel about this, since this is kind of along the lines of discussing structure and composition of commissions and council or committees, if it should be something brought up in the committee of the whole and deferred. Because I know that there was, when the mayor was removed from like automatic appointment to the airport commission, that was of issue, and so I'm wondering if some more input on this might be needed.
Okay. That works.
Just because I worry about inadvertently just upsetting sort of something that's been working, or a structure or authority that we, a whole can of worms we don't know we're opening.
Agreed. I had some questions and thoughts about the genesis of this. So I think having a more open discussion about it would be helpful. What was I going to say? Oh, would you want to see amended language then before Friday, so you would have something to discuss at committee of the whole should it come up? Or are you thinking just keeping this in our mind as we go to committee of the whole and then coming back to ordinances to talk about it?
I don't have a strong preference either way. I don't know what would work better for Matt.
Well, I can do anything. I mean, it's so far I've got one sentence I'm adding, and just then trying to still put my finger on exactly what changes we would make to paragraph 1.
Right, okay. And I mean,
Talking about turning that into 2 sentences, just saying the mayor may appoint himself or herself to the commission, period. Then the mayor shall also choose the presiding officer.
That was going to be my edit. There may be additional language to add at a later date. But that would be my one suggested edit at this point.
Well, and I'm wondering if it would need to be clear that the mayor may appoint themselves as that presiding officer. So like they can or cannot appoint themselves to the commission.
Okay.
No, I think if we have if the mayor appoints the presiding officer, I'm pretty comfortable that includes the mayor's authority to appoint themselves. That's but yeah, if you would like, I can add, you make that change, throw in that other sentence, and email you a new copy.
I mean, Alder or Chair Wilkus, I don't know what you.
I mean, I have no preference about timing. I mean, we'll go into the meeting with this in our brain, so, and our notes, so I don't know that we need to see it before Friday, but I just didn't know if you wanted to see something that quickly.
Well, I wonder if maybe for Brian, if it would be helpful, if he's
Mm.
going to help facilitate the discussion about the committee structures, so that he knows that this needs to be covered too. That might be
Okay.
helpful for him.
Okay. I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point.
I don't want, I would hate to like bring something up that nobody
Yeah.
knows,
Well,
has seen or.
Well, and I think that would be my concern, is that if we bring this up at the, well, I don't know that anyone is aware of this amendment. Correct? So I think you're correct in that it needs to be brought and mentioned that it's, but I.
Yeah. No, yeah,
so,
this was just something that the mayor asked me about, you know, do I have to be? And I said I'd check the statute, and then I told her, no, you don't have to be under the statute. We'd have to change an ordinance. So I put that together and showed her the draft, and she said, yeah, looks good to me. So that's
Do you have any
that's where this has been.
Do you have any understanding of like why maybe our ordinance differs from statute?
Why we have done it
Yeah,
differently?
why we've
Oh,
made
no, I mean, that
like an automatic.
that language has probably been there for 40 years.
the only thought that came to my mind when I saw it, because that was in order to give the mayor a chance to vote. To require them to vote on planning stuff. Because otherwise they would not be in a position to vote on.
Right.
Because they don't vote on council, they only vote
Unless
if
it's
it's.
a tie, yeah.
So
And
this
also-
would, yeah, I mean, that was my only thought.
I mean, that makes some good sense, and also because plan commission is so important in like the vision or what
Right,
how
the
cities
planning
should
of the
look.
city. Yeah, yeah.
And having the mayor provide direction is key. So I can
Yeah.
also see though, maybe like it's a lot, right? Like it's a lot of work that you're like mayor and also then chairing plan commission, and not maybe necessarily why someone wanted to be mayor. So
You would never have a Tuesday night free.
ever.
Yeah, so that's great. This has been good discussion. I'm really thank you, Alder Cole, for all of your thorough review and your notes. Thank you, Matt, for bringing this to us. And if you could, Matt, make the changes that we just discussed and then forward it on to us and copy Brian, just so he is aware, as Alder Cole mentioned, so that if it comes up in discussion, that other than consolidation of committees, the makeup of committees is also something, makeup of committees and commissions, I should be very clear, is something that is being considered.
Yeah, because I know like at least, for example, with public safety, it's not just, we're not even, the conversation isn't about consolidation, but about purpose and like what goes before them. So this is in alignment with the whole, the collection of topics to be discussed.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that needs to happen there, so I hope we get to it. All right, is there any other notes or items that you want to discuss regarding that ordinance? I don't think there's no formal action to be taken. Other than, actually, I guess, do we need to move about, I guess we might need to move on the changes that you proposed.
Well, you're not moving to a recommendation, so I don't
Okay.
think any formal direction. I'll just take this direction and I'll send it out. I suppose unless anyone has any objections, would you mind I also include the mayor, since this was what she
Yeah.
requested, and so I'll copy the entire committee, Brian and the mayor, and just note that I mean, I don't see any of these changes as being substantive, so.
No,
Right.
sign,
I'll just
probably.
include
Yeah.
a little brief description. Okay,
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. All right. With no other notes or comments, any other business? There's nothing on our agenda, so I will go ahead and declare this meeting adjourned.
have a good
Thank
night.
you, everyone, for your time. Good luck with your shoveling and snow blowing.
Well, thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Good night. Thanks, Tyler.
You bet. Thank you.